Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with friends, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you.
I tell you what, boys and girls, if you think Rough Rider knives are addictive, don't go anywhere near Great Eastern Cutlery because they're addictive and they're extremely expensive compared to a Rough Rider. But they are also just excellent knives. Um, I they I agree with everyone who has said out there that Great Eastern is probably making the best traditional slip joints out there. There's no doubt about it. Just a great company. They put everyone else to shame. Yeah, they're going to cost a little bit more, so it's time to start saving up your nickels and dimes and making one big purchase every 2 or 3 months as opposed to making a bunch of little purchases every week or so. And that's about the only way I can afford to pick up a Great Eastern Cutlery knife. Now, if you saw the title, you know it's in the tube. It's called a Possum Skinner, and that's Great Eastern Cutlery's version of a Muskrat. And this is the first Muskrat I ever owned. I did not purchase this. I basically got it with a pile of other knives that somebody gave me, and it was one of the few that I kept in it. It is an improved Muskrat by Strayed. What the improved part was is it's got a liner down the center as opposed to both blades working off of a single back spring. But this is what your basic Muskrat looks like for those who did not see my video on the origins of the Muskrat. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But basically, it's a serpentine handle with two California clip blades, and the blades are so synonymous to the Muskrat knife that they are now called Muskrat blades. Same blade, both sides on this serpentine handle, and the knife usually comes in right at about 4 inches long. This is one of the very few actual Muskrat knives I have because I'm not crazy about the pattern. I like the idea of the Muskrat. I just don't like the idea of both blades being the same. Let me pull the camera back a bit. So we got that Muskrat there. Then this one is called a Hawbaker Special. This is actually by Rough Rider, and it is a copy of the Hawbaker Special. And what you have on it is a Muskrat blade, and then basically a long sheepfoot blade on the other side. So this side is for, well, it's also for processing the game and everything, but it's just got a different blade on it. And that's the Hawbaker Special. This is one of the few standard Muskrats I have. This one is also by Rough Rider in my tortoiseshell line. I'll be doing a video on the tortoiseshell line if I haven't already. And this is my Bird Hunter's knife, which is by W.R. Case & Son. And this is also built on a Muskrat frame, and you've got your California clip blade on one side, but then it has the bird hook on the other side. Now, a lot of people asked about what this hook is for, and it's basically slip it up the back end of the bird, give it a twist, and then you pull all the intestines out of the inside of the bird so that you can finish processing it later. That's the way this works. And this, a lot of people will refer to this as a folding pheasant knife or something like that, but it's a bird hunter's knife. Now, the reason I was showing you all of these is because, well, these three knives here, this one, like I said, was free. You could usually get one in this condition for about 15 bucks. These two knives also go for about 15 bucks, so that's about $45. And then this one up in front here, the case goes for about $45, $50. So all of these knives together are about $90. And you know what? This knife costs more than all of these combined. So that's the thing with Northfield knives. They are not something that everyone can collect, and I understand that. So you don't see me talking about Northfield too much on this channel because I try to keep the channel focused on knives that just about anyone can afford, and that's why it's usually knives that are under 50 bucks. Once you start talking $100 to me, you're talking premium, not just middle of the road. And let me clear these out of the way now, and I've already did all the jabbering I'm going to do about that, and just say, do I think the Great Eastern Cutlery knives are worth the price you pay? I'm going to have to say yes, I do believe so. I really do like these knives. I think they are worth that price, but I also know that they are not something that everyone can afford. So you'll never hear me say, you got to have this knife, because if you don't have a Great Eastern, you're not a knife collector. You're a knife collector if you say you're a knife collector. Okay, let's move on to this knife. You see my toothpick here, my number 12 toothpick, and the reason it's here is because I found it to be an excellent tube popper for my Great Eastern knives. They got this little notch here that they have, and they have an actual tool you can spend $8 on to actually open the tube. I don't know if I want to spend $8 on that, because you could also use any kind of church key or anything else, but my toothpick works really well at popping the tube. So found that out on the last Great Eastern knife I picked up. I guess the folks who are watching are probably upset with me now. I've been talking so long. Here's the pattern number, 828218. So the 82 refers to the pattern of the knife, which could be either a Stockman or a Muskrat version of the knife. It's built on about a 4-inch serpentine frame. The 8 refers to the main blade, which is the Muskrat blade. The 2 is the number of blades, which is 2, and then the 18 is the year this was made. So 2018 is the year it was made. And we see on the bottom here, in my handwriting, Possum Skinner, so I know what's in the tube. Did not come written Possum Skinner on the bottom. Love the paperwork or paper that they come wrapped in, and you can actually buy this paper, and I might actually buy some of this paper because I do like that, and I think it's a quality wrapping paper for your knives. Nice wax paper. And here we have it. There is absolutely no reason for me to actually like this knife, because it is everything I don't like in a knife, yet for some reason I love this knife. It's red jig bone. They call it elderberry jig bone, but let's face it, that is a red. And I'm not a big fan of red jig bone. I've mentioned that many a times in the past. But on this knife, it is just absolutely stunning, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's just a wonderful shade of red that they picked, and I really do like it. So that's a big plus on it. You've got the ringed bolsters, or in the case of a Great Eastern knife, they refer to it as a threaded bolster. So double threaded nickel silver bolsters, your brass liners, and you notice only one back spring. So this is not like the improved Muskrat, which has 2 back springs. This is running off of a single back spring, and there's no spacer in between it. My case here, the bird knife from Case, has 2 back springs, if you can see there. It's got 2 back springs, but no spacer in between them. But this one, a single back spring, which makes it slimmer than the other knives. Now I'm assuming that their Dixie Stockman, or whatever they call it, has 2 back springs, because it's working off of it's working 3 blades. But this one, they have only 1 back spring and 2 blades going there, and those blades are extremely close together, but they are not touching. That's how amazing they fit their knives. When you open it, you see there is a slight wobble in there. Hope you can see the wobble. Slight wobble there, but that's not a problem. That happens with any kind of knife. But when you're opening it, it does not hit the other blade, despite that. See the pattern number on the secondary blade. which is a wonderful little Wharncliffe blade. It does not have a half stop. Neither blade has a half stop. Nice little Wharncliffe blade. It's almost a sheepfoot blade, but it's a little bit too much of a turn down here. So it's the curve for the Wharncliffe is starting here instead of all the way at the back. And there is no hump to it. It's just straight and then it drops. So, but the bottom is definitely straight across. So it is definitely a Wharncliffe blade, or more Wharncliffe than anything else. And then the other blade is your nice long California clip blade, or muskrat blade. And if you notice, starting way up here, there is the swedge going all the way down to the end there. But just a beautiful blade. And very similar to what you see on the toothpick, but they are not the same blade. I thought at first they were going to be the same blade, but you'll see that on the toothpick, if I can get this, both of them showing there, the toothpick blade is shorter and definitely wider. It's it's thicker between the edge and the spine than the sheepfoot. I'm sorry, the muskrat blade on the Possum Skinner. That was one of the reasons I had to buy this knife too. Possum Skinner. I saw the name and that was attractive enough. I saw Possum Skinner. That's cool. And my options were to get it in either micarta or the elderberry bone. And even looking at the elderberry bone online, I thought, man, that is some pretty bone, despite being red. And so I just had to go ahead and do that instead of getting it in linen micarta. And I am so glad I did. And yeah, I will agree with anyone who tells me that, man, those are expensive knives. They are definitely an expensive knife, and they are definitely an investment. And they will also definitely go up in value very quickly because you just don't find them that often. Fortunately, I was able to find it from a licensed Great Eastern Cutlery retailer, and I paid the original asking price that these knives had back in 2018. The after market value on them is already up about 50 to 60%. So that's how the value of these goes up. But definitely a beautiful knife, and definitely built similar to the way the original muskrats were made before the improved muskrats came about, because it's built on a single back spring. But the original muskrats would have had two muskrat blades and not this wonderful little Wharncliffe blade here. So this knife should be really useful for anyone who is actually out there trying to use it for its intended purpose, which would have been to skin small game, but also would work probably pretty well as a whittler with that nice little Wharncliffe blade going on in the back there. Otherwise, it's your typical Great Eastern knife with the pinned-on unexcelled shield, wonderful bone, nicely matched bone, brass pins, and I don't know, another knife that you could sit here and drool over for a long time and just keep repeating yourself, which is, I think, what I'm about ready to start doing. So I will let you go now and give you one last look at this knife as I set it out on a little stand there. And what the heck, put the tube popper in front too. So there you have it, my Great Eastern Possum Skinner, the latest addition to my Great Eastern knife collection.
Thank you for visiting Knife Chats. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that notification bell so that you will be notified when the next episode of Knife Chats is up online. Thanks again. See you soon.